So yeah, Ember's here again with me today. Every once in a while I take him out and he just kind of, hangs around for the whatever topic we have. So I just wanted to bring this up because it's something that I'm definitely not surprised about, right? I mean, that's what I expect from humanity. I expect selfishness. I expect people to be heartless, especially towards animals, because we live by experience, and honestly, most of my experiences have taught me that most humans are quite selfish and quite heartless. I mean, it's not an exaggeration. That's just been my experiences. And, a lot of people do not have that sixth sense that I do, that you can just sense when somebody is, malicious and selfish in nature. You can just kind of sense it in their eyes. I mean, a lot of people do say that the eyes are a gateway to the soul, but for me, I can literally see their personality through their eyes. And even before they do something, I already know what they're going to be like. So I'm not, doing this because I'm shocked, but I will say it's gotten worse, because when I was a child, nobody really listened, or most nobody listened. I mean, I did, a few other people did, that I crossed paths with. Most people didn't give a fuck, but at least they had something where, in school, and even sometimes in children's movies, you would see where they would, teach children why it was so important to be selfless, to be understanding and non-judgmental, and kind and compassionate, to show compassion, especially to innocent beings, whether that innocent being is another person or an animal. And yeah, of course we had been taught that, right? But it's like now, like in school, I remember when I was really young, standing up to a bully, you would be praised. But when I got to be even just when I got to be a teenager, standing up to the bully, basically I fought back and I won the fight. And because I won the fight, even though he was a bully and he was fighting me, he threw the first blow, because I won that fight, and because I sent him to the hospital, he started everything, he made me fight him. Even the teachers knew he was a problem child, okay? He was mean to all the other kids, and yet here I am, being treated like the enemy, because I did what I had to do, and I protected myself, and really, I didn't do anything any different than a normal person would. It's almost like we are shunning what's right, and we are enticing what's wrong. Let me give you two pretty parallel examples that I found in the past week or so. Online, I found on social media, I found two videos involving children around the age of 10 or 11, I think. Not quite sure, but around that age, who had two very similar, near parallel interactions with an animal, and what they decided to do, how they decided to treat that animal in response to what happened. So the first one, actually, probably a lot of people have seen. It's a viral video, somewhat viral, where this girl puts a lizard in a box, and The entire family is actually encouraging her to have a mockery funeral. And by that, I mean quite literally in this case, I mean they are mocking the animal, they're making fun of it. They are, laughing at it the entire time. And even though it's elaborate and, there's even like, pastries and things at the quote funeral, the entire time they're just, it's a mockery. And the only person that, stands up for what's right actually gets shunned for standing up for what's right. There's a bunch of adults in this that are encouraging this behavior as well. So this one, either young adult or maybe older teenager, he, says, I told you it would die. I told you it would die. And, you didn't listen to me, and now it's dead. And what was her response? What's her response? An 11-year-old, someone old enough to know the consequences of death. I understand if you're little. Who hasn't? When you're a little kid, for me it was fireflies. Who hasn't accidentally put a creature in a box, not understanding what death means, and then feeling horrible the next day or next couple days when you finally realise you killed it, because they told you it would die, but you didn't realise what death was. Well, a 10 to 11-year-old definitely knows what death is, so she knew what will happen. And her response was not, I feel terrible. Her response was, quit being rude. When he brought up the fact that I told you it would die, she said, quit being rude. So isn't it rude to kill an innocent animal and laugh at it as it dies, and then laugh at it again after it died? To have a mockery, isn't that kind of rude? And the lack of respect for animals has been there for many, many centuries in the modern world, especially with the Abrahamic culture that we have. People say, oh, it's just an animal kind of thing. That's what we get into a lot with that belief. But I was raised like that in a terrible family, actually, that was quite abusive. And they tried to teach me that it was, quote, just an animal. But I didn't listen, because I had a heart. And I actually did something with it. I chose that. So that's no excuse. And what this girl was doing was like textbook worthy, textbook poster child example of, what it, just the telltale signs of a sociopathic future, sociopathic murderer or even serial killer. I mean, what they say is when they're children, what they say is that they will torture, which is what she did, torture by leaving it in a box, no food or water for several days. I consider that torture. And kill innocent animals. And then, as they get older, and they do it for fun. And as these sociopaths get older, these evil sociopaths, they think, well, animals are too boring, so I'm going to start doing it to humans now. And, it's the textbook for that behavior, for what she was doing. And yet everyone, this is what's so frightening, everyone was inciting and encouraging that behavior, that bullying type behavior of, let's take something innocent and let's either kill it or let's make it suffer. Okay, so here is as parallel as I could find, another viral video, probably not as viral, where her hermit crab died. Okay, the mother is rolling her eyes, saying, okay, let me hold on to this, and you can say your goodbyes. Mother's getting fed up. Somebody else is videotaping. I don't know who, but their dog, as this child, about 10 to 11 probably, is sobbing immense tears. She's hyperventilating because her pet hermit crab died, and she is immensely sad, like it's her best friend. She's genuinely very, very upset, and the mother thinks it's annoying, and the person on the camera, you know, all of a sudden the dog scratches his ass on the grass and goes across the, I won't lie, that part is kind of funny. And, you know, but to the child, you know, you have someone that, the dog is behind the child, so the child didn't see the dog. And, you know, you have one adult laughing, which you think might be laughing at you because you didn't see the dog, and another adult that's rolling their eyes at you and acting like that you've been crying for too long and it's an inconvenience to them. I know exactly how that feels, because that's kind of how, actually, that's on the best day, how, you know, I was, you know, how I was treated when something, despite my best efforts, died. You know, as a child, whether it was a pet goldfish or whatever, we all have, most of us who've had at least some kind of pet as a child, we all have the sad, unfortunate circumstances, you know, where it was really, most of it's out of your control. You know, most of it, you do everything you can, and it just would have died anyway, okay? But as a child, you know, that grief to her, she's about the same age as the other girl who was a, you know, textbook sociopath narcissist, and yet same age, everything, same situation, except she didn't take it from the wild, it was the pet, but the same kind of thing, you know, lizard versus crab, it's really not that different. And she was in tears, hyperventilating, like I was actually crying along with her because it was so sad to watch that child cry like that. It was really sad, you know. And then when the dog scoots his ass along the grass, it just kind of makes everyone laugh. But, you know, it's the point what I'm trying to make is, you know, that child, you know, probably felt like if she was paying attention to the situation, maybe she wasn't, but if she had been sensitive to the situation, she might have felt like, you know, it's not okay to cry like that. One person's laughing at me, one person's rolling their eyes, you know. And yet that other girl, it was basically like a mockery funeral. That was like a celebration. It was, everyone was laughing, everyone was making fun of it. Even the adults were, you know, teaching her that that behavior was all right. And that's what really angers me, is because, you know, as a parent, you should be saying any animal, and Ember's a great example, any animal, not just a fluffy kitten, any animal, not, you know, whether it's a reptile, whether it's a farm animal, any animal deserves to have a life of dignity and respect. Even if you are raising pigs for slaughter, that pig, as long as it's still alive, it deserves a life of dignity until it is time to butcher it. It at least deserves dignity for that long, you know. And even the way people go about butcher, I think, is horrid. A lot of these people, you know, grow them too fast, you know, in small conditions. They should be, you know, given room, and they should be allowed to grow at a normal rate instead of people being greedy. If you're going to farm animals like that for meat, you know, you should do it in a natural way. That's not, you know, hurry up and grow, you know, so that I can eat you, but it's rather live a nice life, you know, and I will only take your life when, you know, is needed, when I need to survive, you know. But people are greedy and they don't do that. So, you know, it doesn't matter, farm animal, wild animal, pet, that you should always respect them, you know. And it's just, that's lost. It's been lost. And hopefully, as you've watched Ember, you've seen just how calm and placid he is, just how non-threatening he is, just how innocent he is. He might not be fluffy, but all animals can think, can feel emotion, just like us. And unlike us, the majority of animals are actually innocent. That's what drives me up a wall so much, because their targets tend to be innocent things.